Malakal Island, Palau John Doe, identified as Wilbur Mitts. In the fall of 1944, Radioman First Class Wilbur Mitts was the aviation radioman assigned to Navy Torpedo Squadron 20, USS Enterprise in the U.S. Navy. He was a radioman on a torpedo bomber. The entire crew on this mission were declared missing in action, somewhere on the Palau Islands, on September 10, 1944. This happened during a strike mission against Japanese forces as part of Operation Forager. A day later, he and 2 other officers were listed as having passed away in action. Their aircraft was struck by enemy anti-aircraft fire, after which they crashed into the water near Malakal. While they knew he had perished, they were unable to find or recover his remains. They tried many times after the war to search and recover fallen American personnel. Unfortunately, in the case of Wilbur, it didn't work at the time. In September of 2021, Project Rover, which is a nonprofit that works to recover missing Americans, they went ahead and excavated an area where unknown remains were found, and Wilbur's remains were recovered 77 years after he went missing. This would eventually be sent to the laboratory at Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickman Laboratory in Hawaii for analysis. It would take 2 more years, but thanks to genetic genealogy, Wilbur Mitts' remains have finally been found and identified. Wilbur was born in 1921 in Missouri, eventually moving out of Salinas, California, where he grew up. Wilbur was great at sports, and he was well known in the area as a result. He was listed as being a member of the Salinas Catholic Youth Organization. He would become the Golden Gloves welterweight champion in 1941. Unfortunately, he passed away when he should have had an entire lifetime ahead of him. It's a huge sacrifice, not just to him, but to his family. Wilbur Mitts was born 102 years ago, and he was just 23 when he gave his life for his country. He went unidentified for 2 years, but was a missing man for 79. On behalf of Crime Hound, I would like to thank Radioman First Class Wilbur Mitts for his service. May he rest in peace. The Eureka Jane Doe, also known as Torso Girl, identified as Kerry Ann Cummings. In October of 1997, a duck hunter was out traveling along a muddy bank near a beach located in McKinleyville, California, and it was here he discovered would be the first partial remains of a woman. Her torso was found north of Eureka, which is also in California, and other parts were found in a wooded area near Trinidad, California. It would take DNA in the end to link them all together, and they were scattered mainly in a 36-mile area, or 58 kilometers. Unlike so many of these cases, they believe they know who did it. I don't like to talk very much about serials, as it feels like I'm giving them a platform and I don't want to. So I'm just going to give a limited amount of information, and if you want to Google him and find out more, his name is Wayne Allen Ford. In this case, he admitted he'd done it, and he would say that she was hitchhiking when he picked her up. He would say that she was from either Arizona, Colorado, or New Mexico, and that he believed she left home because she was upset over either a relationship problem or a child custody case. No one has been able to verify his statements, so take it with a grain of salt. It's known that between October of 1997 and November of 1998, Ford took the lives of at least 4 women, and it's believed they were either hitchhikers or working girls, which is just way too often a population that's targeted. Also, it's a group that's some of the most difficult to identify. This specific degenerate was arrested on November 3rd, 1998, and he actually surrendered himself by going into a police station, and when he was arrested, it was said that he had a female body part located somewhere on his person. He was homeless, and they were able to go to his encampment, and more body parts were found. He was eventually found guilty in 2006 of the first-degree M-word, ending up on death row in San Quentin in California. Investigators kept trying, and they never gave up on his victims. Our Jane Doe was identified in June of 2023, and it appears she was the last one that needed to be identified. I started to lay out their stories too, but decided instead just to provide their names. I might do this at another time, but I don't want to take away from this particular person's story. It just feels like she deserves the focus to be on her. When they began doing the forensic genealogy, they were pretty lucky, and it came pretty close to her. Usually, they're farther away on the branches and have to work their way forward, so it was very lucky. When they approached that person stated that a family member named Kerry Cummings had been missing since the mid-1990s. The authorities would take this information and approach Kerry's sister, Kathy. Kathy would offer a sample of her own DNA, and this was used to confirm that Kerry Ann Cummings once again had her name. Kerry was born in 1972 and was just around 25 when she went missing. Her family describes her as a wonderful young woman. Kerry was beautiful, funny, smart, and an artist. She was great at making us laugh. Kerry's sister, Kathy, told investigators it's devastating what mental illness can do in a span of only 2 years. Kerry was not reported missing, but in this case it was not for lack of trying. As I've mentioned before, I've run across people saying they tried to report a missing person, but the police refused to take the report, saying adults have a right to go missing should they choose to do so. This happened in many, but not all jurisdictions. In this case, Kerry's family was told by the police that there were laws in place that wouldn't let her be reported missing. I tried to dig into this a little, but I didn't find any proof of actual laws, and this is the first time I've come across that. It's policy and not laws, usually, that keep them from taking the report. While I didn't find proof of an actual older law, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Although honestly, I suspect it was meant to keep the peace while not taking a report. Because there was no standard database, in a lot of the cases it wouldn't probably have made a difference. I should say, though, that not all jurisdictions refuse to take reports, but it was quite a few of them. And even now, there's sometimes problems if someone is a chronic runaway in getting a report taken. The tough thing is you need the report in order to match up remains that are found. While they don't list what the mental health diagnosis was in Kerry's case, it's pretty clear she was seriously struggling at the time. The last time Kerry called home, her family was aware that she was living in Eugene, Oregon, and at that time she was couch surfing. For those in other countries that might not understand the phrase, it just means she was staying for free on people's couches when allowed. Her family tried talking her into coming home, but she refused. And, of course, she was an adult, so they couldn't make her. So, in the end, they spent 25 years hoping against hope that Kerry was still alive and doing okay. Because they couldn't report her missing, they opted to hire a private investigator. Unfortunately, as hard as the PI tried, he also could not locate her. Kathy would say they approached the police more than once in hopes of making a report, and at what point we're told Kerry had chosen the lifestyle she was in, and that if she wasn't a threat to herself or others, there was nothing that could be done. Her family took to regularly searching NamUs themselves, looking for mention of the tattoo that she had. Because they removed the NamUs profiles, there's no way for me to look if the tattoo is listed on there. But I've noticed they don't always end up on the website, and often it's mentioned, but there's no picture. So it makes it hard. It just depends on the jurisdiction and how much was done that was able to be put into NamUs. I see on the Doe Network, they list her as 18 to 26. It mentioned a colored dot on her upper thigh, as well as flowers that were around an ankle. They also said that her cervix appeared that she'd given birth to one child, but that hasn't been confirmed, and there's no child listed here. Kerry Ann Cummings went unidentified for 25 years. Had she lived the life she deserved, she would be 50 years old today. She was unidentified for the same amount of years that she spent on this earth. Huge thanks for watching all the way to the end, and a big thanks to all of you who consistently like and comment on the videos. Whether you leave a full comment or an emoji, it makes a huge difference. The whole dance with YouTube is hard sometimes. I gain only about 350 subs a month. So if you consistently watch my videos, maybe take a moment to subscribe. It's a huge push toward the videos being suggested to new people. The next goal is 20,000. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other.